Hey guys, Max92, welcome back to another tryout. Today's tryout is on Biomutant. Apologies if the audio has changed again. You might notice there's a lav mic here and not a condenser mic here, like there typically is. I had switched off one software to another software, and today that software won't open correctly, and rather than go back to the previous software, which was giving me some issues, I figured I might as well just use my audio recorder. That's what I bought it for. Anyway, talking about Biomutant. So I've had my eyes on Biomutant for probably at least 4 years now, since at least 2017, when I think it was announced in like 2016, 2017. And I've just sort of been waiting for it since then. And now it's finally out. I think the game is very visually pretty. Like, it's a very pretty game to look at, especially for this sort of post-apocalyptic genre situation they've got going on. It's a very visually pretty and not like, gray, like, Fallout, gray and brown or whatever. It's very colorful. And it also seems like it's pretty open as well. When you get open world games, you sort of worry in a sense that, like, what's going to be the limits, and you're not ever entirely sure, especially when you have some like movement limitations or whatever. And it seems like this game is very large, very open. I'm not sure how it uses the space yet, because I've only played maybe 4 hours-ish, and I've only stayed in like this beginning area. But it is a very open and pretty, and so far, and if it continues to be very, like, I can go to wherever I'm thinking about going or whatever and look good at the same time, that's always good. So in mechanics sense, it's got this crafting and equipment system, which is really interesting. I can't tell if everything is randomly generated. It probably is, with how many, like, I've barely come across the same piece of equipment. And the only thing I've come across the same piece of is like a backpack. And I've had, a handful of pieces of equipment, and they all just seem different. And I don't know if it's that they've specifically designed like so many bajillion, whatever, a large amount of pieces of equipment, or that they've set up these parameters that they can be generated with. But the equipment is interesting, and it's also interesting mixed in with the crafting system, because it's a crafting system that visually changes the equipment. And so you have, like, for weapons, you have like a base part, and then you can change your handle, your stock, your muzzle, if you want a sight on it, whatever. And it makes this visually different weapon for like a gun. And then for a melee weapon, you've got your handle and your blade or whatever. And it makes these very visually unique and customized things that I think can give the game a lot of individuality, and gives you that particular, like, it gives you a very unique emergent gameplay experience, because you're not necessarily going to be getting the exact same parts and creating the exact same weapons as all of the other players. So for the combat, I'm still a little iffy on it right now. I'm also still early. I haven't unlocked all the weapon types. I've not really used more than the two-handed sword, and then in like a couple ranged weapon types, the pistol, the rifle, and a boomerang. So I don't have a lot of experience with the combat, but it seems it's got some combos and stuff like that, which make it seem more deep, but it kind of just amounts to a bit of kind of button mashing and stuff that maybe, if you get down and you sit into it, it's a bit less, because I do have to, like, avoid getting hit. I have to dodge a lot. It's not mindless button mashing, but it is sort of like, there's something about it that doesn't quite feel right to me. But I don't think it's bad necessarily. It's just okay. And one of the interesting parts of the systems that it has a, like, it's like your karma system. it's a light and dark meter, but unlike your common situation with these where you have like sort of like a spectrum that you move left to right on, you have literally 2 meters. You have a light meter and a dark meter, and when you do light actions it fills up the light meter, and you do dark actions it fills up the dark meter, and then you get an aggregated title, mine being somewhat light at this point, but I think that's more that I haven't filled up the light meter that much rather than I have that much dark meter. I think I only have like 2 points in dark, so it's sort of like, I don't know. My problem with the karma system though is that it's got these little 2 like light and dark sprites, and they pop up after every lighter versus dark choice you make, and they're kind of annoying.
Let me introduce myself. I'm the light and bright side of you, or your inner voice to be precise, an echo of balance and consequence of your actions as you move forward.
That's right. Light is only for those having difficulty seeing what's in front of them. Sticking to the me first path is the only way we'll be going places.
Especially the light one. It's annoying to the point where it's like, I don't even want to be associated with you. Like, I'm going to be evil to spite the light sprite. That's how I feel about it. So every time it pops up, I'm like, no. I don't know. Which sort of brings me into my negatives. My first main negative is that I wish the character creation had a bit more precise customization. You have like these circles that you sort of move a point around, but it's very imprecise, even if you're trying to use like, when you're trying to use a controller, it's very imprecise. I imagine maybe with a mouse, you could get a bit more of a exact point, but with a controller, it's sort of hard to get exactly where you want. I spent a long time trying to get a certain stat to a certain number, and it just took me a while to get exactly in the spot where I was trying to get. Another negative I have is that there seems to be a lot of things to do in the open world, but some of them don't seem to do anything. Like, there are like old world technology pieces that you'll find that you can interact with and turn on, and some of them have a very obvious, like, it opens and you get an item out of it. But like, there was one I did where, I don't think I have footage of this one, but there's one I did where it was just a guitar, and I just tuned to the guitar, and I don't think anything happened. I don't understand. I don't know what the reward was for that. So it's sort of like, there kind of seems like there might be some things that have been put in the open world that are just things to do for the sake of things to do, which is always a problem in open world games. You want to like give these things meaning. Like, if, you know, they give me an item, you know, piece of equipment, something, then there's kind of a reason to do them, because you're sort of doing, it's sort of helping you get better equipment over time or whatever. But if it just seems like some of them are just things to do for the sake of things to do, and I don't know why they're there if they're just that. My last main negative here is that the narrator is kind of annoying.
He's heard the stories about the terror inflicted by the World Eaters to other enclaves, but never expected one to come all the way here.
You got this narrator that sort of narrates the story, but they also voice pretty much all the characters, except for the light and the dark sprite. They voice, just like everybody you come across in the open world, all the other little creatures, because the creatures speak in this sort of gibberish language that doesn't have, like, you don't know what it means as a person, as a human being. And so the narrator is basically translating for you, the player. But, like, I go back and forth. I'm not entirely sure. I have mixed feelings about the narrator. And it looks like there are in the settings, like, an option that you can sort of turn down the, like, ambient narrator stuff. Because there was a situation where he said bangarang, and I'm like, what? Why are you talking? I just don't quite, I don't know. I'm iffy on the narrator. But, I mean, in the settings, you can sort of tweak the amount of like ambient like combat dialogue type stuff that the narrator does. So potentially turning that down might lessen my mixed feelings on the narrator. So to wrap this up with a big positives, I really like the world design. I really like how it's set in this like kind of far future, but not that far future Earth type situation where it's like, it's most likely Earth because it looks like that's Earth's moon in the sky, but like
It's coming from behind that.
the like dilapidated, overgrown,
A warning label.
current times
Looks like a
structures you come across, the cities, the little roadside shops, all this stuff, the broken highways. They're just really cool visually, and I really like the world design that this game has. And honestly, I played a lot more of this game than I usually play of games for tryouts because I just wanted to play more. I played like 2 hours or so for my first play session, which is a little more than I typically do. I'll do an hour to 2 hours. I did like 2 to 2.5 hours for my first play session, and then last night I was like, I want to play more Biomutant, and I played for maybe another 2.5 hours or so. And so I figured I could do that because this is a bigger game. I wasn't going to just suddenly finish it. Ever since I tried to do a tryout for Doom 2016 and just finished it before I got the chance to, I've been trying not to finish games that I do tryouts, especially since it's a weekly series now. It wasn't then. But I really like this game, and it's just really nice to look at, and I like the exploring this world, and I don't mind combat and all that. And so, as you can probably tell, this game passes tryout like flying colors. I don't know what the zeitgeist opinion is on the game. It's not like a big blockbuster AAA. But I'd say it's a little bit bigger than like your AA, somewhere in between the two. And so sort of temper your expectations a bit, maybe. Like you're not getting like something on the level of like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption 2, like that sort of polish and whatnot, because it's not that big of a game, but it is still pretty big. It's still something that you can tell a lot of time and effort and love went into. Like, it's been delayed like over and over again so that it can get finished at a level that is, you know, actually good. And I appreciate that, and that behavior deserves to be rewarded. And I think this game is pretty much could be a poster child for delay your game so that it can come out good. So anyway, that's the video. That's the thing. So we'll get into the end bits. Down in the description, find links to all my places: Patreon, Twitter, Bandcamp. There's a Tumblr down there if you do that. I don't use it. My subreddit, Discord server, links in the description. Like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you didn't. Subscribe if you want to keep up with this and other shows on my channel. Leave a comment if you have opinions. Have you played Biomutant yet? Have you been waiting for Biomutant for 4 or 5 years like I have? Let me know in the comments. Share the video if you have friends who have thoughts or might have thoughts or need to have thoughts on Biomutant. Share the video. Do the things. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Now that's a flesh wound. Scragged enough.